They came from Ohio, California, Louisiana, from across the country. But they're not in France, and this is not 1918. They were in Shimpstown, Pennsylvania, just 6 weeks ago. They're not movie actors. They came here to experience the past. These men are living historians.
Let's start this process. It's going to get a little confusing.
Everything here is accurate. They're trying to understand the average soldier and to convince themselves just for an instant that they are in the Great War. They call this mind warp.
It's one thing to read something in a book, for instance, with the German guns, or read about something happening in a trench, and it's another to actually experience that. And then when you go to read something again, you kind of get a sense of what he's talking about.
Most people find that it's a fairly intense emotional experience. You get very tired, and there are certainly moments when you're out there in the trenches when it just seems as though something clicks and you say to yourself, this is really what it was like. This is very similar, but still somewhat safe, to the experience that our grandfathers went through.
Of course, everyone uses blanks, but still someone could get hurt. So before the event begins, all 130 participants have to attend a safety meeting.
First of all, make sure that when you get within 30 feet of somebody, what you need to do is holler bang. Now, I'm sorry if it ruins your karma, but better that than somebody's eyesight.
Of course, more than guns were used on the battlefield.
The standard rule at this event for the hand grenades that are self-manufactured or privately manufactured are quite simple. If you make grenades, you will test them at the safety meeting by igniting one however you choose to do it and dropping it at your own feet. That results in an extremely safe pyrotechnic device, especially for the Scots.
And finally, a matter of honor and fair play.
The hit rules are very easy. If you die, die. When the action passes over you, get up, leave the trench system. Find someplace else and come back into the trench system. Left, left.
And finally, the troops move to the front lines.
These living historians are so concerned with accuracy that for me to cover the event, I have to dress in a uniform and shoot on black and white film.
This is home for the next 24 hours, and they've tried to make it comfortable. For many soldiers, the first action they'll see is with a shovel, work detail, just as it was 66 years ago. The Allied trenches had not been laid out as carefully as the Germans. The Germans had realized it would be a long war. The Central Powers strengthened their defenses. The Germans string barbed wire. Each side watches and waits. The organizers have made up scenarios, battles that are roughly planned to make sure everyone gets to experience different aspects of trench warfare. The orders come down. At 1300 hours, the Allies go over the top.
Okay, it's time. Let's go. We're going over. We're going over. Let's roll them. Let's go, let's go, let's go. Let's go! Bradley up here!
The attack meant the soldiers had to leave the safety of their trenches and cross the barbed wire of no man's land. Everything they did was in full sight of the enemy. The losses were heavy, but the attack continued.
Come on, anybody left alive? Get this man down! Go, go, go!
The trenches were clawed, so some men tried to go over the parapets. And that just made them better targets.
Bill! Bill! It's hopeless.
The attack has been stopped, and the Allies retreat. Later that evening, in the rear area, the German troops enjoy a hot meal and relive the day's victory. But nightfall brings more action. Fighting continued until midnight. Morning came quietly, but there wasn't time to relax. The Allies were under attack, first with artillery. Then, in fact, it was just smoke sent by the Germans to hide their attack and confuse the Allies. It worked. the Germans entered the Allied trenches. But it was not a simple victory. Still, the attack continued all along the front line until the Germans commanded the forward part of the Allied trenches. They knew there would be a counterattack, and there was. Now it was their turn to retreat. Both sides had fought hard and gained little. It's tough for us to try and imagine what it must have been like out there. But of course, that's exactly why these living historians have come out here.
It's like stepping into a time warp. You know, from the time we get here and go tactical to the time we leave and change our clothes, it's just unbelievable.
There were definitely some moments there where you had the feeling that you were appreciating some of the things that the soldiers went through in World War I, and that's really about the best we can hope for. We try to go for a 36-hour period or 48 hours if possible, but there are going to be lapses. We of the Vietnam era can't really appreciate the sense of duty to country and to king in the case of the British, or the feeling that the Germans had, the duty and loyalty to the Kaiser. Our minds don't work like that. Maybe humankind has changed, and maybe that's to the good. A little bit better, anyway.
In Pennsylvania, I'm Jim Nowak for Weekend Magazine.